Hari Om. Today we are on the third mantra of section 1 of chapter 3 of Mundaka. As usual, we will chant the third mantra of the Upanishad. Yada pashyate rukmavarnam kartaramisham purusham brahmayonim tada vidwan punya pape vidhuya niranjanam paramam samyamupaiti. The little meaning is that when the seer sees the effulgent being, sees means realizes the effulgent being, the creator, the ruler, the very source of all manifestations, then at that point in time, that knower, having shaken off all deeds of merits and sin, attains the supreme equanimity, being untouched with stain. So the mantra Yada, beginning with Yada, Yada means when, Pashya means one who sees, Yada Pashya, the seer, the one who sees, Pashyate, when he sees, the one who sees when he sees what? Rukmavarnam kartaramisham purusham brahmayonim. The resplendent golden line, Rukmavarnam, not the silver lining in the cloud, golden lining. Kartaramisham purusham, creator of all the universe, brahmayonim, the source of all manifestations. When he sees that, realizes that, understands that, experiences that, tada, then Vidwan, the wise man. Why he is wise? Because he is otherwise earlier. Now he has become wise. Tada Vidwan, then the wise man, Punya pape vidhuya, shakes off all his good and bad deeds. And Niranjana becomes pure, Paramam Samyamupaiti, attains the supreme, which is the identity with Brahman. This is the meaning of the stanza. Now, I must caution you, the Rishi is becoming tougher and tougher, and therefore we have to necessarily become thicker and thicker in our concentration. So please bear with me. A sadhak, during the stage of seeking, is still a deluded ego, trying hard to discover for himself the reality in the unreal, the truth in the falsehood. But when he, the seeker, through meditation and constant contemplation, has fully withdrawn his entire personality from the objects, emotions and thoughts, he discovers within himself a mighty magazine of power and energy by which he is expected to proceed to reach his final destination of the self-discovery. It is only a petrol station where you fill in your fuel. You have not reached the goal as yet to go, miles to go. But this realization in him puts a magazine of power, fill the tank with the tiger, they say. when the egocentric functioning of the body, mind, and intellect, while transacting with the objects, emotions, and thoughts, have ended, that personality is now proceeding to his final destination. Today, I am what I am. A confused and confounded identity. Isn't it? At one moment, I am a sweet little man. At another, a terrible monster because of the variety of, what shall I say, gratifications of my physical demands of lust, mental demands of emotional satisfaction, and intellectual demands arising from mischievous thoughts. But luckily, somehow, I am aware of all these convulsions in me. Yet, I cannot get out of it. Think. Why this helpless bondage? If you intelligently analyze, all these pernicious sorrows arise because you do not know who you are clearly. You are acting on the stage not knowing your role. You don't know what you are. Or you are acting on the stage without knowing the role you have to play. The real knowledge of yourself you don't have. And you are enacting the drama of your life. This is not a drama in life, it is a drama of your life. We are in a drunken mood of misconception, not knowing who we are. I identify myself with everything that is not me. Hey, that is a tragedy. I know how to identify, but I am identifying with what? With whom? With everything that I am not. Sometimes I think I am the body. Sometimes I think I am the mind. Sometimes I think I am the senses. Sometimes I think I am the prana. Sometimes I think I am the intellect. And sometimes I even assume that I am nothing. You keep on analyzing, you reach up to a point of intellectual, and then you decide, yes, I am the intellect, I am the buddhi. The moment you analyze what gives you power to the buddhi, many of us will say, I don't know, some unknown power. So something unknown is what you are. Something nothing is what you are. This is what the Buddhists say, Shunya, Shunyavada. The word Shunya catapults my mind to Shankara's Dakshinamurti Stotra, where he elaborates this idea very vividly and clearly. He says, Deham pranamapindriyanyapi chalam buddhim cha shunyam vitu Stribalanda jadovamastvahamide Bhranta vrisham vadino Maya shakti vilasa galpida mahavyamoha samharine Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Fourth stanza, if I remember right. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth one. He says people think Deham, you know the meaning, Pranam, Prana, Indriya, Api, and Chala. Chala means mind, that which wavers. So, Deham, Pranam, Abindriyanyapi Jalam, Buddhim, I am the Deha, I am the Prana, I am the mind, I am the Buddhi, Buddhim cha Shunyam Vidu, I am the nothingness, Shunya. Who are these people who think like this? There are many people who think that I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect, I am the prana, I am the jiva, I am the shunya. If you ask me more than that, I don't know. Where do you come from? From nothingness. Where do you go? Go to nothing. Who are these people? Stri balandha jadobamastvahamidhi bhranta prishamvadina. Three ladies, Bala, blind, andha, jada, deluded, Bhranta, mad people, Brishamvadina. So these are the type of people who are intellectually honest or overcharged with emotion. These categories of people. Stri, Bala, Andha, Jadobamastwaham, Idi, Branda, Brishamvadino. They think that Bala, Andha, Jadobamastwaham, Idi. Aham, Idi. Aham, Idi. This is I am. This is I am. This is what is being declared by these people. They are the people who have not understood the reality. They are intellectually innocent. They want to understand, but that is all their limitation. And they are overcharged with emotion, and therefore sometimes they think, I am the mind. Mind is the full stop. They are not able to take things in the proper perspective. So these type of people, Branda Brishamvadino. And he continues to say, why do they think like this? Maya Shakti Vilasa Galpida Mahavyamoha Samharine. Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpida Mahavyamoha Samharine. My God, look at the language. Is Shankar a literary PhD or a spirituality PhD? Maya Shakti Vilasa. The Vibhuti, the manifestation of the Maya Shakti, the power of the ignorance, the power of Ikshava, the power of Vasanas, Maya Shakti Vilasa Galpida. And this is an imaginary power, this Maya. It is not the truth. You feel it is there, but it is not. Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpida Mahavyamoham. It is a terrible delusion, super delusion. Because you are thinking what you are not. You are thinking that the rope is a snake. The reality is not known. Maya Shakti. Why is it thought? Why are you thinking that way? It is the Maya. It is my ignorance of the rope. That is why I thought it is a snake. I thought it is my mind. I thought it is my intellect. That Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpida Mahavyamoha. And what does Dakshinamurti do? Samharine. It completely pulverizes it. It powders it. It breaks into pieces. it vanishes it. Such a Guru, Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye, Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Dakshinamurti, who is the Guru of all Gurus, to him who removes my misconceptions and delusions, Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpida, born out of Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpida Mahavyamoham, he destroys it. To him, my pranams. Therefore, he who removes all the terrible misconceptions created by the deluding play of Maya, to him I prostrate, is the shloka. So, with the grace of the Guru, coupled with your own discerning inquiry and the satsang that you have, the terrible misunderstanding has been removed for the sadhak. He will thereafter have a matchless joy forever, a joy that cannot be compared. Gaganam Gaganagaram Sagaram Sagarobama. The pleasure or the happiness that he is enjoying at that point in time is one to be experienced and not to be experimented. Even in our transactional Vyavahara world, think, how much relieved you feel when a misunderstanding is removed? You are under constant and perpetual stress and strain, accompanied by discomfort when you go through a misunderstanding of your dear and near ones. A family feud. Started when? I don't know. Years together ago. My grandfather used to say that we should not talk to those people in that house, though they are our relatives. And who told the grandfather? He was telling me one day that his grandfather told him. See? Years, 50 years, 100 years of feud, family feud. Don't talk to each other. Children don't talk to each other. A ban on that family. Don't go there. And for what? Years ago, I thought he was responsible for my difficulty. Why are you carrying this feud? I thought that Ramachandran was responsible for all this 50 years ago, 100 years ago. That Ramayatan came and unnecessarily interfered in my affairs, and he was responsible for all the sorrow that I faced. I think so. From that day onwards, Ramayatan and his family is quarantined. Now the Ramayatans and the other family's grandsons have decided to call off because both of them are disturbed. They are not able to perform their duties. Their mind is filled with tension and agony. Therefore, they somehow want to end this nonsense. They want to call off this nonsense and talk it out. Let's inquire. What is the snake that I am seeing? What is the delusion that I am having? They talk, and things are now clear. That the reality was not what it was thought of. Oh, I see. This is what Ramayatan did. So Ramayatan did that in our good favor. Yes, but that was wrongly understood. It was misunderstood. It was misconceived, misconstrued. And when that misunderstanding has been removed at that point in time, how do you feel? For a small domestic matter I am talking. In the same way, the sadhak, under tremendous delusion for many births, have now decided to make an honest inquiry into the reality, and having discovered his folly and understood the truth behind all the falsehood, how he will feel at that point in time and thereafter. All the effects of his misconception must end. He must have done a lot of wrong things, assuming that it is Ramayatan family and therefore he is my foe. And I did all the best that I could do. Somebody in their family wanted a job, somehow I used my good offices and stopped that job. Somebody, his grandchild wanted an admission in the school, I stopped it. All villainous things I did. So all the effects of this misconception, now I am trying to rectify. I will see that he gets a job, I will see that he gets an admission. Why? I have understood the truth. The demerits and merits must drop off. The punyam and papam must end. It is not that only the papam will end. When I realize God, when I realize the reality, all my papas are over and I will carry my punya with me. No, both will go. Both are the results of your misunderstanding and hence both must end. Okay? Kappalandi Panikkar, there was a person. He was known as Kappalandi Panikkar. He has two wives. One very beautiful lady and the other an ugly lady. Now when Panikkar dies, both the wives lose the Sumangali status. The ugly loses the status. The beautiful one also loses the status. Similarly, good and bad get extinguished when the ego dies. When the true cause dies, the misapprehension is gone. Panikkar is gone. Therefore, how can both of them be Sumangalis? Both will go. How can an individual who has totally risen from the lower planes of awareness and awakened to a higher level of consciousness be concerned or interested in the fleeting joys of mundane world? How can he be? He who gets a steady illumination of knowledge and who has merged his entire inner equipments, Deham pranam abindriyanyapichalam buddhim cha shunyam. All those entire equipments he has merged, or the actions arising out of those equipments he has surrendered before the infinite Brahman and enjoys nothing other than the external bliss, eternal bliss. Such a one is ever changeless and free from all ego-prompted selfish activities. Since he has no more identification as BMI, is no more the sufferer or the enjoyer of the fleeting situations that matter, the matter vestures. Body, mind and intellect are all matter vestures. The actions and reactions of the body, mind and intellect do not matter this person because he has surrendered all that. Therefore he goes beyond the realm of change and strives to serve all at all times without any trace of selfishness. The body, the mind and the intellect equipment is irrelevant to him for his happiness. He do not derive his happiness from his body. He do not derive it from his mind. He do not derive it from his intellect. His Shuddha Chittam, pure mind, a mind and body devoid of ego and egocentric desires, reveals ever in contemplation of the infinite self, and therefore called as a mind emblazoned with illumination. This is the mind that has ended its futile sojourn after finite pleasures and is known as a state of amana, a state of still mind. A mind that has extinguished its vagaries, a state of sthita prajna, a man of steady wisdom and steady knowledge. He has thus discarded his old belief system and has awakened to a new and upgraded version of thought and behavior, and is considered to be a man reborn or twice born. The earlier man, with all his vulgarities of vasanas, identification with the body, mind and intellect, and consequently getting the lashings of the reactions of the action that he has done, that individual has already gone. Panikkar died, and now a man of awakened vision, a man who is reveling in the Brahman reality, who do not depend upon any other objects of the world outside, his mind or the intellect for his pleasure. His happiness or peace is self-generated. So he has rewired his system and upgraded the system within himself, and therefore he is a second born, known as Dvija. And that indeed is a criterion to be a Dvija, not what you and I see today. A mere thread across your chest is not the sign of a Dvija. It is far behind. It comes from much deeper the personality, not from that thread alone. I'm not saying thread is not required. It's required for certain symbolic reasons. But the true Dvija, or the twice born, or the Brahmin class as we call now, has much, much greater responsibilities, because they are of a class by themselves. I do not know whether I have been able to convey the content in a manner that is understandable to you of this stanza, but I'll try my best. As and when we go, things are going to be a bit tougher, but please don't run away, don't give it up. Please be with me till this Upanishad is completed, because this will get ingrained in your mind, and this may be perhaps your basic platform on which you can develop your spiritual progress, and that will be for your good welfare. Hari Om.